This is Dr. Gigi Sabat, and you're listening to the Walk With Me podcast. My guest today is Amy Frith. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
Such an honor to have you here today, Amy. Can you start off by telling us a little bit more about you and where are you from, Amy?
Thank you, Gigi. Well, first of all, I just want to say, has anyone here ever noticed that Gigi is very genuine? I'm just feeling that, and I'm feeling like I had to say that. I appreciate it. I am from many places, actually, because I've been quite nomadic in my adult life. But as a child, I grew up in Grand Valley, Ontario. It's a very, very friendly and peaceful village in the hills north of Toronto. It's about an hour drive north of Toronto, but way smaller. So when I was there, there were 1,500 people, and I pretty much knew everybody. And it was a great life. I'm very blessed. It was a very, I'd say, idyllic childhood.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Amy. And before we go and get started here today, I do want to let the audience know, I do apologize about my voice due to the weather. It is a little bit different, I know. I was out there in Brooksville running my first full marathon, and the weather was a tad bit different in Palm Coast, Florida. So bear with me here. Thank you so much. Now, Amy, can you tell us a little bit more about some of the challenges that you recently faced in regards to the loss of your father?
Yes. First of all, that's so inspiring to hear about your marathon. And I'm sure your voice will come back. It sounds kind of magical, actually. So my father was an angel. He was a legendary man, and he was actually in my little village. He was known as a leader and as kind of like the man that everyone looked up to. He was always there to help everyone. He was very much, in my opinion, the perfect father. And when he got older, he only lived actually until age 70. So in his last year, he was on medication for sleep issues. Like basically I've been doing research, and a lot of older men struggle with sleep. Sometimes they have insomnia. So he had insomnia, and he went to the doctor, and he went on some pills to try to, help him sleep. And the pills worked for a couple of months, and then they didn't really resonate super well with his body. So they started to cause issues. And after a while, he tried to go off of them. But if anyone here is familiar with sleeping pills, sometimes my research shows a lot of people struggle with going off of them. So he tried and he couldn't do it because there are so many adverse reactions to, like, especially, I think he was on them for actually about 2 years. And they say if you're only on Ativan for like 3 to 5 months, from what my research shows, it's usually easier to get off. But if you've been on it for more than a year or so, it can be a bit trickier depending on your body and probably many factors. So he actually went to a hospital to try to get help with getting off of it, because he talked to some doctors, and that's something that they do. They'll like sort of assist you for a couple of days in getting off, because basically the symptoms that you have with the withdrawal can be worse than heroin withdrawal with Ativan. And he wasn't informed that it could be that bad, but he knew it could be kind of dangerous. So he went into the hospital for a few days. They decided he was doing well, so they sent him home a bit early, a couple days early. I think he was supposed to be there for 3 to 5 days, and they sent him home after 2 or something like that, because he just seemed to be totally fine. He was experiencing major pain when he got home, and I've been reading about this, and it looks like when you are experiencing Ativan withdrawal, it can be as painful as having like a truck drive over you. Like this, I hate to say that because I like to be a positive person as much as possible, but I like to also tell my story of what I've learned about this experience to see if I can help someone. So one of the reasons why I share this is because I think if you're ever thinking of like taking sleeping pills, please do your research and maybe consider talking to a few different kinds of doctors. So basically he had suicidal thoughts, and that's one of the symptoms with going off of Ativan. This does happen to many, many people. And so he had these suicidal thoughts with the symptoms from the meds. And then they sent him home on a cocktail of 4 medications, which is a really controversial thing. Like that strategy does work for some people and helps them, but it doesn't help everyone. I have so much compassion for doctors, actually, because I realized that it's a challenging job. You're making really challenging decisions because what works for one person doesn't always work for another. So in my father's case, he came home and he did commit suicide, which is horrible because we were just shocked because he was always a happy, amazing person that we just would not have ever guessed that he would do that. So I learned a lot in that experience. Yeah, I mean, I could say so many things about it, but I believe in God. You know, Gigi, I know you believe in God, and my father was obsessed with God. So that does actually bring me a lot of peace to know that he's in a good place. And actually, have you ever heard that sometimes when a loved one passes away, you can have dreams with them? Has that ever happened to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this has been happening with my dad. Like, he's been showing me that he's very happy in heaven.
That's amazing.
Yeah. He actually showed me a throne in my dream, and it felt like I was there with him, from what I understand. And there was a throne waiting for my mom. My mom's still on earth, very healthy, and misses him tremendously. He showed me a throne. They were madly in love, which was amazing. And he said, I made this crown for your mom when she gets here. It's sitting on her throne. He showed me this beautiful floral crown with fresh flowers. And with all her favorite flowers, she's obsessed with flowers. And I said, you know, I have a feeling that will die before she gets there because she's really healthy. And I don't think she's going to die for a long time, Dad. And he said, Amy, flowers don't die here. And I feel so enlightened by that memory. Flowers don't die in heaven. Like, it's just so beautiful. I could do a whole painting series on that or something, you know?
Amen. I love it. I can definitely relate because my grandma, who means the world to me, and she's no longer with us, but she constantly appears as well and lets me know that she's still here.
Did you say that was your mom? The sound was a bit muffled on my end.
My great aunt, Mommy Yu.
Wow. That's so good. And don't you just feel so exhilarated when that happens? Like, thank goodness.
Yes, ma'am. And she's in my heart always.
Exactly. My father's always in my heart. I actually visualized myself carving a little space in my heart, and I told my dad's soul, this is where you live. And I'll have to paint that someday too.
Yes. Now, we did receive a comment. We have Cooper Gates who joined us. Thanks for listening in. And he says, flowers, what does die in heaven? Question mark.
Gosh, that's evil, but I don't even think evil gets there. So I don't think it ever, I don't know if anything can die there. Maybe, would there ever be anything there that would be meant to die? Probably not, right?
That's such a great question. That's a really great question, Cooper.
I don't know everything, Cooper, but that's my best answer for now. I appreciate the question. I love the question, actually. That'd be a good song title.
Right. We have more comments from Cooper. He says, but yes, the crown was highly thoughtful.
Aw. Yeah, it's a beautiful image. Like, I paint the picture in my mind a lot, and it brings me a lot of peace.
That's amazing. I love that. Have you ever painted it on paper or drew it out?
You know, lately I've been doing mostly geometric patterns with my art and abstract, but I will get into a phase where I will do a lot of realistic paintings. I used to do them. I go through different phases, and I will draw that. You're actually making me feel like I want to draw it soon, maybe tonight.
That's how he works, right? You never know.
Yeah, I do believe that drawing is also very, very therapeutic. And I think everyone who wants to draw should just draw, and you should never judge yourself and say that you can't draw, because I promise you, like, if it's something that you want to do, you completely can do it. It's like everything else, you need to practice. You know, when you were a baby, you probably saw everyone walking, you probably thought, I can't do that, but you figured it out. right? Because you practiced and you didn't continuously tell yourself that you can't because everyone encouraged you.
That's right. Very powerful. Thank you so much, Amy. Now, we did receive a comment from Cooper. He says, yeah, narcissism, evil, abuse, eccentric aren't supposed to make it into heaven in the first place.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking of the negative things, but then I was thinking they would never, ever be in heaven. There's no place for them there. Doesn't that make you feel excited that you get to go there someday?
Oh, yeah, God is good. And He's the creator of all things. We're His children. And as His children, we're called to serve His people. And Amy, I just appreciate all that you do on the front lines.
Thank you, Gigi. You're amazing. I feel like you have a really powerful gift of making people feel special. And I'm really grateful to be able to be aware of that.
Thank you so much, Amy. I appreciate it and I receive it. Amy, can you tell us a little bit more about your healing journey and where are you now?
Oh my goodness. How much time do we have? I could go on forever about this. Okay, so everyone, I had surgeries in my eyes as a child, starting at age 4, 5, and 7. And the ones at age 4 and 5 are really serious, even though everyone knows cataract surgery is very common in the elderly. And it's not very serious. It's usually quite a simple procedure. These days, actually, now that we're in 2005, you can go in and out of the hospital in a couple hours. And they don't even usually put the body to sleep anymore. They just usually put the eye to sleep now. When I had cataract surgery in 1982 at the age of 4, I moved out of my family home for a week. I packed my bags and moved into the hospital, the Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, which is actually a world-class hospital full of angelic staff, thank goodness, because I was really scared. But once I got there, I realized I'm blessed here. These people are just, they couldn't have been nicer. They couldn't have been better to me. But what's interesting is most children don't experience cataract surgery, but it does happen. I know in Canada, which is a small population, about 1,000 kids every year have it. So in the States, it would be a bit of a bigger number. And still quite rare. And we don't really know why I had that, but it could be dietary, according to my research, or it could be just something in the genetics that we have. But basically, I had surgery. And the doctor I had, he was famous because he had to be, because my situation was extra difficult because basically my family and I didn't know anything was wrong with my eyes, but I was probably pretty blind for the first 4 years where I couldn't really see clear, defined edges between things. And we didn't notice. I just acted the same as everyone else. I guess I developed certain sensitivities, you know, to not bang into walls or whatever. But yeah, we had a mandatory eye test going into kindergarten. The doctors just could not believe that I was as blind as I was. They thought I was joking. I'm going to make a movie about this someday because it was actually pretty funny. Like they kept laughing because they were showing me pictures of unicorns and bears and, you know, the alphabet and stuff. And I was just talking about the colors. And it's kind of enlightening for me to reflect on that because I do have a very strong relationship with color. And I think it's because it's something that's always been with me, that I've always been able to see because I'm a little bit blind. So luckily, I did get surgery just probably right in time to save my vision because they said there were doctors arguing over whether it was too late at that point. They were, I remember being in this room and they were saying it might be too late. We maybe shouldn't try. And then one doctor was like, no, we've got to try. This is her life. You know, I remember hearing that and I didn't really understand because when you're blind or part blind, you don't really know what you're missing when you haven't seen it. So I remember being a bit confused. It was quite an adventure actually. So I had my surgery. A few days later, I was in a boardroom with a famous surgeon that I loved. That was my surgeon. He was very, very kind. And we just had the best chemistry. We felt like friends. And I remember I could barely fit my elbows on the table. Like it was just such a huge space for adults. I was like, why am I here? I'm a kid. This is weird being in a boardroom. It was kind of enlightening. And he said to me, Amy, I have to tell you something that I don't want to tell you, but I have to. It's my job. It looks like your surgery went well, but you might be blind by the time you're 25 or 30, in accordance with global statistics. You know, they study everything. And he said, I want you to think about a potential career option if you do go fully blind. So I literally had this feeling like this has a lot to do with, you know, how I perceive my whole life. Everything that happens to us has an influence on how we perceive things, you know, and our dreams and our goals and our ideas and everything. And I'm quite fascinated by how that works. I felt myself develop a really strong mindset in that moment. And I knew that I had to. And I knew it felt like it came from beyond me, like from God. Because I know on my own, I'm not as strong as I am with God. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean.
Yes, ma'am, I do. And all things are possible with him.
I just felt this support that was so divine, and it brings me so much happiness, actually, even though that could have been a very dark moment. And I feel that had I ignored my connection to God, I could have gone in a dark place. I could have thought negative thoughts, and I think had I thought negative thoughts, I'd be blind by now. I honestly believe that. But I chose to think positively, and I chose to visualize Stevie Wonder instantly. And I've always loved him. And I thought, well, I guess if I go blind, I'll sing like Stevie Wonder and I'll be famous and I'll have a good life anyway. But then from that day forward, I walked out of that room saying my first positive affirmation, because I thought I have to make sure that I make the right decisions, you know, disciplining myself to move forward in the right way, like to keep my vision. So I basically just said, I will keep my vision. No one ever taught me what positive affirmations were at that point at age 4 in 1982, but I just intuitively knew I have to promise myself I'll say this affirmation, I will keep my vision, and I have to say this to myself as many times as possible every day for the rest of my life. And I still do it. I still say it. And that's part of my healing. Like, I really believe positive thinking is so healing. I believe positive energy and positive belief. Because you can think positive thoughts, but if you back it up with your belief that you choose to create, you know, through thinking positively and taking positive actions, through discipline, through focus on what you love, miracles just happen, right? And so now as an adult, I should also mention, I have painted so much because I thought early on, and I've drawn a lot of pictures and sculpted a lot of sculptures, because early on, I realized if I do lose my vision, I've got to take advantage of being able to make art now, because it's something I love and enjoy. So I've made way more art than the average person, just because it's really like medicine to me. And the more I made it, the more I sort of realized, I think this is good for my eyes. Because if you think about it, a lot of people are watching TV and movies a lot. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. I love TVs and movies occasionally. But with my eyes, I can't watch them all the time. And I think that's just because we all have our place in the world, and that's what's meant to be for me. I've always been able to focus on art more because I can't watch as much TV as everyone else. So I've seen the positive in that. I've appreciated it by choice, you know. And I think because I've been appreciating my vision, and because I've been so focused on positivity, and just focused on also singing a lot, which is also very healing, because I knew I wanted to have something I'd never lose. I'm now labeled an off-the-charts medical miracle as an adult. Of all the kids worldwide who've had access to cataract surgery in the world, worldwide, I'm in the top 2 of millions of us who've become adults. So I don't take this lightly. Like, the moment my doctor told me that, I thought, I think I'm meant to be a leader. Like, I actually thought the word leader came to my mind. I realized, whoa, I'm being placed again, like by God, in this position to tell this story, because the people who hear it will hopefully be inspired to, you know, to realize the power of creativity and positive thinking, you know, empowered thoughts, empowered actions. Believing in yourself is so powerful. Like, I really believe I could have gone in the opposite direction had I just not been so careful. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You remind me of my father, because also facing knowledge and eyes as well. But not just that, Amy, we've had a few guests on our show who are blind and they share that publicly. Yes, ma'am. We had a woman, she went through human trafficking and she's blind and she talks about her journey as well. She's been on the show, bless her soul for coming forward and sharing some of the things that she shared as well. But she's very intelligent. And so I love how you are basically saying it does not define what you are capable of doing. I love it. And you mentioned the artist who plays a musical instrument, letting us know just because you're blind does not define what you are capable of. I love that. I love it because it is very true.
I love what you're pointing out here. I want to make it clear that I did come to peace also with the idea that going blind could be amazing because you could focus so much on other things like music. You could just solely focus on that and that would be an amazing life or whatever, there's so many things you can still do.
Yes, ma'am. Very true and very powerful. Now, Amy, we did receive another comment here, and Cooper says, "Ha! You brought back memories of a cumbersome eye patch after I had a tumor removed."
Wow, you had an eye patch. I had the eye patches like glued to my eyes. They did one at a time in those days, and it was like glued here forever. I remember my brother touching it on my face, and he said, "It feels like alien skin."
That doesn't define what you're capable of, right? I've seen an amazing politician. He served in our military. He now has an eye patch as of today, and he's serving on the front lines. Bless his soul and what he's doing.
My goodness, that's amazing. Yes. You must meet so many amazing people through doing this, Gigi.
All things are possible with him, but not just that, all the glory to him and continuously serving. Now, Cooper did leave another comment as well. It says Adobe RGB 1998 and REC 2020 should be much more mainstream. sRGB is a disappointing standard.
I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
He further says, here it is. He says, looking back on when I was a little nappy-headed boy.
Cooper sounds like a character.
Yes, thanks so much, Cooper. We appreciate you for listening in, and we appreciate the comment.
Definitely, thank you.
Yes. Now, Amy, tell us a little bit more about your book.
Oh my goodness. So my book is it's a co-authored book, and the project was sparked by one of my beautiful mentors who is obsessed with female empowerment the same way I am. And it's actually called Goddess, and it's all about transformational empowerment stories of women. And, I think if you really get to know any woman, you know that she's had her challenges, her ups, her downs. And it's all about like how we've found ways to triumph beyond our challenges. And it's beautiful. There are 22 of us that wrote it together. And we actually we launched it during COVID. So we had a launch party on Zoom. And it was such an incredible experience because all of the women were reading parts of their chapters and listening to each other. And it was just like life-changing. It's such a great book. And I think that everyone who loves the subject of empowering women should probably read it.
Wow, incredible. I love what you mentioned there. And I can't help but think oftentimes in our society, it's sometimes folks will say, well, this person has a mask or that person has a mask. Do they have a mask? Or is there something underlying there? Is there some sort of trauma? Is there something? Asking those questions, and it's very intriguing what you'll find when you do ask those questions. So thank you for pointing that out, Amy.
Gigi, you're so wise. You must read a lot of books.
I do. I'm actually in my office and I'm looking at all of the books here on my bookshelves.
I have books too. I'm a book collector.
Books. Bunch of nerds, just some nerds chatting it up. I love it. I love it. Can you tell us a little bit more about your podcast?
Yes, you know what? I love that you're reminding me of this because, guys, I have a podcast and I've changed the name 3 or 4 times, so I forget what the name is right now. I think it's either Cloud9 or just the Amy Elizabeth Frith podcast, or I might have called it Artistic Queen. Anyway, I have to pinpoint one name. And I haven't been podcasting regularly, but now that I'm on the spot here, being asked about my podcast on a podcast, I'm feeling very inspired to start maybe doing it once a week or more. And you should find it. You can find it on my Linktree. There's a link. You can just go to Linktree/Amy Elizabeth. And that's the common Queen Elizabeth spelling. Oh, it's on the screen actually, which is great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. And thank you so much, Amy.
Oh, and I just talk about being an artist and the life of just life in general, wellness, ideas about spiritual enlightenment and art, music, ideas about the world, like how could we make the world better? That's something that's always on my mind as an artist. Is that normal? Like, have you met artists that think that way? I think that's pretty normal as far as I understand for artists.
Absolutely. And my significant other, he plays a musical instrument. Not only that, but I do have friends who play musical instruments as well. Or
Nice.
yes, they also sing. And also I have friends who paint, right? I have friends who are introverts, friends who are extroverts. I can go on and on, but I definitely understand those individuals. And it's so important to meet people where they are.
Gigi, you're so powerful.
Thank you.
I like really hear what you're saying, and it's amazing. Your heart is so huge. And I feel like the way you speak, you've mastered really caring about the listeners and empowering them, making them feel good about themselves. And there's probably a listener out there right now and they're thinking, yes, that's why I'm watching Gigi again. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate your kind words and your continued support. But not just that. And I always tell people, and Amy, you know my story. I almost lost my life, death by strangulation in a domestic violence relationship a few years ago. But not just that. I tell folks all the time, when you almost lose your life, you are able to understand people from their place of pain than ever before. And I already understood people, but this is on a deeper level.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for your support, Amy.
Well, I'm grateful for your support, Gigi, and I know what you mean because I had a near-death experience as well. Like it was a car crash, and I have never been the same since then. I almost went to med school before that, and med school would have been great. Like I really respect great doctors, but I didn't really want to go to med school myself. Like if you want to go, go. We need good doctors, but I knew in my heart that God made me to be an artist. Like I could feel it, and my parents thought I should maybe be a doctor because I thought I'd make more money. But honestly, guys, I'm on the brink of making more money than I would have had I done that. You'll see. Just keep in touch with me. But it's never about, I don't think anything you do should be about money. I think it should be about, are you being true to yourself? And I believe that when you're being true to your heart and doing your best, you are leading by example for others to see that, hey, I can be true to myself too. And that makes people happier. And then that makes the world more peaceful, if you think about it, because when people are happy, they want to be nice to other people. And so I really do believe that we can build a more peaceful, happy world.
Agreed.
I do.
And it's an army. You know, Mahatma Gandhi says, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." And I believe that it takes an army. But not just that, Amy. You talk about you being an artist. And bless your soul. I love the work that you do. I truly believe God has a purpose for everyone's life or higher power, whomever you believe in.
Mhm.
And again, your purpose matters. And I believe that you've stepped into purpose. And I love what you're doing.
Gigi, you're an angel. I believe you are clearly in alignment with your purpose as well. And this is such a blessing to meet people who have figured it out. And it's also a blessing to meet people who want to figure it out, you know? And like if anyone ever needs help, you can always contact me on social media. I'm basically a coach for everything. Like I kind of market myself as an artistic empowerment coach or a higher self-alignment coach, like a soul coach. But that entails everything if you think about it, because life is art and your soul is connected to everything. And I feel like I'm good at helping people tune into listening to their intuition more. And it's important to me that you remember that you have a strong intuition, even if you don't believe you do. You do. You just have to listen. You know.
Listen, it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Amy. Wow. My God. I'm absolutely amazing. Now, you and I spoke and you talk about running, right? And you're not a runner, right? But is that true, right? Are we not runners, right? Because you talk about running. Tell us, how did you feel when you ran today?
Exhilarated, because honestly, I'm in Canada, you guys. So I'm near Toronto. I'm in freezing cold. Like it is colder right now than usual. And that means freezing. Like I was wearing a goose down jacket and like all bundled up in mitts and hat and everything. And the cold still goes through all that stuff right now. Like that's how cold it is. So it's not easy to go out there right now. So honestly, over the holidays, I wasn't exercising exercising as much as I could have or should have because of the cold. I made excuses, but tonight I went out running before this because I wanted to bring good energy to this podcast, you know? And I know that when you run, you kind of like, you balance your energy and it's healthy. So I did that, and I still feel that I did it. Once I run, I can feel it for the next day or two. I can feel kind of this, what is the word for it? What do you have a word for how good running makes you feel?
Absolutely. And one word, it's peaceful.
Yeah, peaceful physically even. Like you feel it in your body. You just feel, I ran. Like it
Yes,
just
ma'am.
and it's hard sometimes in that first moment when you're thinking, I should go running right now. You can think of a million excuses, but I feel like you can just tell yourself, I deserve to master myself. I deserve to be good to myself. Saying things like that helps you to just like go. And the minute you start going, it feels amazing. You don't want to stop sometimes.
That's right. And this
Amazing.
brings me to my next question for you, Amy. In one word, what does resilience mean to you?
Oh my goodness. In one word,
Yes.
power.
Love that.
I was going to say empower, but what is the difference really between power and empowered? It's kind of the same, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amy. You're such a powerhouse.
You
Amy,
are
what's the
too.
best advice to the audience for walking with purpose and living a life of happiness?
Thank you so much. I'm just so honored. I'm so honored and grateful for everyone that is listening to this now or later. And for Gigi for inviting me. It was so kind of you for opening your heart and inviting me on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Do you have any last words for the audience, Amy?
Um, always believe in yourself. Nobody's better than anyone else. We're all special. We're all God's paintbrushes. And it's never too late to begin a new project, a new creative skill set adventure. It's never too late to develop a new creative skill set. It's never too late to start living a new dream that you've always dreamed to live. And you can do anything if you believe in yourself. And if there's someone out there saying, but I don't believe in myself, yes, you do. If you ever say you don't believe in yourself, you're not being honest with yourself, because it's your true nature to believe in yourself. And you're amazing, and I believe in you. I actually truly believe in everyone. I truly do.
I can tell. I can hear it in your voice, and very genuine. And I appreciate you, Amy. And key words there. It's never too late. Very powerful statement. Amy, where can the audience find you?
So it's so easy, you guys. You can either Google my name or you can just look up my website, amy.ceo, and all my social media links are there in the contact section. You can even click contact, or you can scroll down and find it. And I would love it if you would message me on social media or email me and tell me what you think of my art. Do you like it? If you like it, tell me what you think of it. Maybe if you don't.
Thank you so much, Amy. We truly appreciate you. And thank you so much for being a guest on the Walk With Me podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Gigi. I feel so blessed and honored. Thank you.
Such an honor. God bless.
God bless you.